I'm Dr. Todd Baker with Zola Levitt Ministries. Wilfred Hahn, I think you'll find to be an interesting interview that we had with him. He has an interesting take on Bible prophecy. He explains to us the future economics that will occur in the end time scenario. We're here with Wilfred Hahn, economist, and we're going to talk about economics and end time Bible prophecy, which I think is a much neglected aspect of Bible prophecy among Bible teachers and scholars, but certainly it is a very important aspect in the last days. And so can you tell us about some of the important features of how worldwide economics plays in end-time Bible prophecy?
I'll be glad to, and pleasure to join you, Todd, to talk about these things. The financial developments, end-time financial developments, are all over the Bible. It's all full of prophecy. Prophecy speaks about many aspects of it. And two important areas I would point to, among many, is the role end-time financial developments have to have. They have to occur before Israel can return to their land entirely, or at least all the prophecies, including the prophecies that apply to the early part of the millennium. And it's so fascinating because these things are happening. The second thing is the roles money have to play, at least as the Bible tells us. Revelation 13:7 talks about a system being in place at some point. We're not too far from that. Almost all the ingredients are there, but a system has to be in place where all monetary transactions, all commercial transactions have to be controlled or will be controlled. And so we certainly follow those developments. And when you think about it, it has to happen from the perspective of, say, Satan. Satan is not omnipresent, not like the Holy Spirit or God.
Right.
And somehow he's got to be able to coordinate this entire world to do his will. And he uses the aegis of the love of money, mammon, so on and so forth, to do that. But you need also the technological developments to be able to put that into place, and that certainly is well underway.
How close do you think we are as far as evolving, or where you have a conglomeration of a one world economy? I mean, we certainly see it, I guess, the euro, how that united the whole European continent. That's kind of a forerunner, if you will. What are some other indicators?
Well, we're really far along. I mean, I can look at it as a theoretical economist, I'm not entirely a theoretical economist, but I can certainly look at it as a practitioner in the world's monetary systems. And I could say we're far along the road. If you look at all the number of requirements, make it very simple, basically four things that have to happen over the history to be able to bring in this kind of a system. We already have the one world currency. Many are still looking for it, but in fact, it's here. You know, looking at it from a professional money manager's point of view or financial practitioner, it's already here. But you know, if you look at the major conditions that have to come into place, I would say almost all of them are here. You know, we've got a common understanding of a monetary system in the world. Everybody around the world agrees. Just this last 100 years, you know, we've gone from basically 14 central banks in the world to over 80. They all have the same macroeconomic perspectives. They all come from the same schools, and if you will, monetary theology. So you've got that basic understanding already in place. You've got the technological developments already in place. What we don't have entirely in place in the world yet today to enable this one world monetary system where in fact all transactions can be controlled, it is a regulatory legal structure. They're working on it. And it takes successive big crises to create the impetus to do that. So that's what this global financial crisis certainly had a role. We're going to get more. I don't know how many more, but they're working on another one right now, another crisis.
Do you buy the theory that some Bible prophecy teachers say that the microchip that's inserted beneath the skin, do you think that could play into the mark of the beast? Do you think that is a precursor, perhaps?
Possibly. There could be any number of developments yet that lead to that monetary system. Just interesting. It's interesting to follow the developments and the perspectives and how this all plays together. For example, right now, many of the central banks in the world, the major ones, certainly the Federal Reserve Board here in the United States and others, are very, very perplexed and upset that they're not able to have a greater influence on a recovery, economic recovery, a return to the prosperity that many nations have enjoyed around the world post-World War II. And recently, some of the more prominent of the economic observers around the world, which include some such as Larry Summers, Paul Krugman, I could go list a whole bunch of them. These are high-profile people who aren't considered to be crackpots. I would say they are from a biblical perspective, but they're even venturing the idea that, you know, what we got to do next is we got to get interest rates to be negative in nominal terms. So not adjusting for inflation. They're saying, well, we're going to need a world of negative interest rates, but in order to do that, they want to do it, of course, to, in their theory, try to get things going. But in order to do that, we need to have cashless society. You see how this idea is coming in now? To promise prosperity, we got to go to this cashless society. And,
which eventually is what we see in Revelation 13.
Yeah,
maybe.
Absolutely. It's not a barter system in
Yeah.
Revelation 13. Gold will do you no good. It's a system, whether you're in Tupelo, Mississippi, or some remote island like Tuvalu, you will not be able to do a transaction of any kind unless you're inside the system and have been enabled by that system. So we're almost there. When I say almost, there's still a lot of agreements that have to take place. The big stickler, and as the number 4 really for everything to come into place, is nations do need to give up sovereignty. They need to give up sovereignty to a global entity. Eventually, there has to be the will, if you will, and decision by the global nations to give that authority to one man.
Who will be
the Antichrist. Well, in this case, it's the false prophet.
Right.
Right. Not the Antichrist is there, but it's the false prophet that ends
Who
up
will
being
be the main chief administrator.
He ends up being the last prosperity teacher the world will see.
Well, Wilfred, very fascinating stuff. I wish we had more time. Can you tell us quickly how we can get more information from your ministry?
Thank you for that opportunity. Our ministry is called Mulberry Press. We've been around for almost 2 decades. Our focus, given my background, is on end-time roles of money and biblical expositions of roles on money and so on and so forth. Our website is eternalvalue.com, again, eternalvalue.com. And we put out a lot of free materials, and we'd invite you to subscribe to the letter, Eternal Value Review.
Well, thank you so much. Very fascinating subject that I think more Christians who are serious about prophecy certainly need to delve into, and they certainly can learn from your very important ministry on this. And we thank you for joining us today.
Our pleasure. We follow your ministry.
Okay. Thank you, sir.